This video really isn't clickbait as much as it might look like it. This beta is getting ragged on by a lot of people, whereas I'm genuinely having fun in it, but I'm having fun in spite of a fundamental issue I'm finding with the game itself. You see, some things are just beta things and I don't see why people are complaining about it. Connections aren't going to be perfect throughout the beta, hit detection won't be perfect, and there'll be bugs and glitches, and I know DICE recently has a track record of making messes and not cleaning them up, but I'm still gonna compartmentalize my mind a little bit. Some things are beta things and some things are design philosophy things. And the design philosophy behind Battlefield 5 really wants you to lean on your teammates more. It is more about the person next to you than it is yourself, and this is the fundamental flaw with Battlefield 5. Now, everything I'm about to say is based off of my experience with Battlefield, playing through the original games on PC, playing occasionally Bad Company's campaign and Bad Company 2's multiplayer, a shit ton of Battlefield Play for Free, Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4, a lot of Battlefield Hardline, and a lot of Battlefield 1 despite me just not liking it. I got into Battlefield later than some of you might have, but I still have been playing it for years. I've been a fan of it for years. Most of my experience with it has been on console, but I dabble on the PC versions as well, and it's the same issue. And of course there are exceptions to this issue, and not everybody will have it as bad. But I will tell you this. The average Battlefield player, in my opinion, does not give a shit about helping their team. Now I know there are servers in Battlefield 4 and 3, I've even seen them in Hardline, which are more try-hard servers, and yes, people do try to help their team in those servers. I stopped seeing those with Battlefield 1, and I don't know if they're going to come back in Battlefield 5. And here's the thing, Battlefield games are so messy and there's so much going on, the average player does not want to help their teammates. It feels like people just get caught up in whatever they're doing or all the explosions and nonsense and noise, and they don't think to be helpful for a second. The reason I think Battlefield 3 and 4 and even Hardline play so much better than Battlefield 1 and unfortunately even this Battlefield 5 beta is that it's about working together as a team, but you as a player do not need to rely on your team. Battlefield 5 makes you rely on your teammates, and Battlefield 1 tried to do that more as well. But paying attention more to Battlefield 5, if you want to even have more than one extra magazine, you need a good support squad mate, or at least some blueberries that know when to throw ammo. If you want to maintain your health, you're going to need a friend that plays medic well. And if you want any sort of situational awareness, you need a couple of recons that aren't just trying to get long-range headshots and are actually spotting enemy players. One point of failure in anything I just mentioned, and the quality of your match will go downhill. Now, I only really play games like Rainbow Six Siege when I have a friend online because I refuse to play games like that solo. The reason being is that having to rely on people I don't know in order to have a good quality of match is annoying. What I like about Call of Duty is that, yes, your teammates can screw you over, but the game doesn't completely rely on it. Whereas in Rainbow Six Siege and Battlefield or games like Overwatch where you have multiple points of failure, a couple bad teammates is all it fucking takes. The more complex a game is and the more reliant it is on the people around you, the more chances you have of having a really bad match. Now, I will admit this, there's a simple fix for when Battlefield 5 comes out and it'll fix the whole game. I just need to play with 3 friends online. Maybe 2, maybe even just 1, but at least one person I know online. Someone that I trust, someone that I can communicate with, and someone that is just there to have a good time and keep me company. I don't know if you have ever looked at a scoreboard at the end of a Battlefield match, but a majority of your team and the enemy team probably is having trouble getting 10 kills in a 40-minute match. They're not even able to figure out where to throw an ammo box to get the most points. That is the nature of hierarchies, whether it's 5v5, 4v4, 6v6, 32v32, there will always be people that rise to the top and always you'll see people that aren't as good. Fine, that's fair. I'm not specifically complaining about the fact that the average Battlefield player has no interest in helping you when you're down, when you need ammo, when you need enemies spotted, or vehicles taken down, and vehicles taken down is the big one. That is the one that always irks me. When I'm constantly getting peppered by helicopters and jets and tanks, and nobody wants to switch to engineer, It's like, well, I could switch to engineer, but I'm one engineer. Battlefield 5's beta doesn't even give the assault class enough dynamite to blow up a tank in one go. This is a bad design. You can't actually go off and play the game. You'll find yourself constantly stopping to go make sure you have ammo and health, going and looking for a teammate, or getting flanked by an enemy you had no idea the location of because the game wants you to know nothing about where your enemies are coming from, and you just lay there on the ground waiting for your squad mate to pick you up, but they never come over to help you because fuck you, I guess you got shot, that's your problem. So back to what I was saying, the way to fix that is to play with friends, but here's the thing, Dice. I have a couple games that I only play with friends online, and I do that because relying on my teammates is frustrating. Already in games like Call of Duty or the previous Battlefield games, it is annoying to rely on bad teammates or have to wait on the dumbasses on your team. That's not gonna be, I guess, any more annoying than normal. Where we have a problem, Dice, is that you have created so many game mechanics that require me to rely on people I don't know. And when you do that, you fundamentally, frankly, simply cut my gameplay time in half. I used to feel like I could hop into Battlefield games solo, and maybe I could in game modes like Team Deathmatch or 32-player Rush, and maybe that was possible for me at one point. But it feels like a long time ago that was ever a possibility for me, because now I just can't help but look at everyone around me not being helpful. So if I want to play a class that's more selfish, then my team just loses. It's like if I don't do it, it doesn't happen. And I've seen this across every iteration of Battlefield, albeit from a few servers and with some exceptions. On any platform I play it on, it's the same issue. It's not fundamentally game ruining in games like Battlefield 3 and 4, because if your teammate doesn't want to give you health, okay, I guess. Whatever, I'll just die or I'll just sit here and wait for my health to come back. But in Battlefield 5, your health never comes fully back, does it? And when you get down, you have to wait through an excruciatingly long time to bleed out, or you wait hopefully for some help. If that doesn't work, you're sent to the respawn screen where you have 8 seconds more time to wait, making each death a goddamn chore. And if one of your idiot squad mates are under fire, the time to respawn is even longer. Do you see what I mean? My problem is not that the game wants me to rely on teamwork and squad play. I like that conceptually. My problem is not that Battlefield's unplayable unless you have a squad. No, not really. My problem is Battlefield 5 went so far in that direction of trying to be some sort of team-based squad play shooter, I think they've shot themselves in the foot. I think it's because Battlefield matches are so big and there's so many things going on that people just think if I don't do it, someone else will. Whereas in reality, what I've learned throughout my years of Battlefield is that if you don't do it, nobody will. If you get killed on an objective, surrounded by enemies, your teammates are getting picked off one by one, and you don't go to the respawn screen, switch to medic, and come back with a syringe or defibrillators and start picking your teammates up, there's something wrong with you. I will admit that my last year and a half or 2 years of playing Battlefield has been incredibly casual. The reason for this is that no one on my friends list enjoys Battlefield 1, we're completely burnt on Battlefield 3, 4, and Hardline, and so it's just me logging on once in a while feeling completely unmotivated because here's the big thing about this video that you all knew was coming: nobody in Battlefield uses mics. During the beta of Battlefield 5, I've heard 2 people use mics, and I have hopped in and out of at least, 30, 40, 50 squads. You see, I don't know what it is about Battlefield's core design that makes people just want to sit on rooftops with snipers and be pretty much useless, playing as a support player without giving anyone ammo or hanging around where the action's happening so you can get points from dropping the ammo, playing as an engineer and not doing anything to keep tanks and helicopters and jets down to a dull roar. And the fact that good quality gameplay like that is limited to a few servers on a few Battlefield games currently is what really has been killing it for me. That's the thing. I don't know what it is about Battlefield's core gameplay that makes people act in a way in game that feels unhelpful and counterproductive, and then also not communicate, even just to complain. So not only are they not giving you ammo, not tossing you health, not picking you up, they're not using mics. they're not spotting enemies. And hopefully this has been made clear earlier in the video. I think I made this point about midway through, and I think a little bit earlier before that. My problem is not that Battlefield 5 wants me to work with my team more. I like that idea, but in practice it doesn't work. There are too many game mechanics in this game that make me have to rely on other people when not playing with friends. I do not want another Battlefield where I'm restricted to waiting to see when my friends are going to be online, so hopefully you can see where I'm coming from. There needs to be a more competent spotting system. There needs to be better indicators of where your enemies are at. If there are 3 people firing in a group, maybe put a little red circle around them. If they're firing in my direction, maybe give me a little faint arrow on my screen that lets me know that. If someone's 10 meters away from me firing a sniper rifle, maybe let me know that too. Maybe put the squad mate revive icon on the minimap so it's easier for me to find. Maybe put red dots and health bars above enemies' heads when you look at them. Maybe allow the recon to completely 3D spot anybody they aim at with their scope. I don't know. But when every other shooter has a competent amount of balance when it comes to your own situational awareness when watching the map itself, and the heads-up display mini-map letting you know what the hell's going on, and then you have Battlefield over here, which has more complicated maps with just far more complexities in general, more places for enemies to be camouflaged, more places for enemies to hide and sneak around, more flank routes, more particle effects and hectic action, and that's the game that decides that you need to not know what's going on around you unless you're really astute and fully focused at all times. Now, some of you that just heard that were thinking, well, that's good because that weeds out the bad players. That's the point that I'm trying to make, is that you are not going to fix the bad players. You are going to have a dead game in 3 months if everyone needs to be 100% focused to play your game. If everyone needs to have a friend online to play your game competently. If everyone needs to rely on everyone around them to win objectives competently, that's just going to wear people out. There is a weird demographic of Battlefield that believes that Battlefield is basically a military simulator. It's super hardcore. It's like the Dark Souls of competitive shooters, but it's not. It's an arcade run and gun pseudo milsim. The only thing that's like milsim about it is that there's vehicles and destructible environments, and it behaves slightly more believable, realistically kind of, than other shooters that are more like Titanfall, Call of Duty, Doom, or Destiny. Battlefield has no business taking itself this seriously. Let me go off and flank the enemy without constantly running back for ammo. Let me get injured with no medics around, and let me at least lie down for a minute and get my health back. If I'm fighting hectically on an objective and enemies are firing behind me that don't see me and I don't see them, and I'm fighting someone else in front of me and they're all firing, let me see that there's somebody 25 meters behind me, 10 meters behind me, 15 meters behind me. Take your fucking pick. If somebody's taking pop shots at me, give me a faint little arrow that lets me know the general direction the rounds are coming from. I'm usually able to tell, but again, during certain hectic situations, I can't, and I've heard the same complaints from other people. The end-all be-all solution cannot just be for everyone to get good, especially when I see so many people just getting pissed instead. There are people that will thrive in these situations, just like there are people that will thrive in a desert drinking their own piss. That doesn't mean it's optimal. Battlefield 5's fundamental flaw is that it wants you to worry about the person next to you more than yourself. And that's a good idea, but it's just not practical in its application. Playing Conquest and having pretty much entire teams of assault and recon players constantly running around asking for ammunition, not thinking to themselves for a second that, hey, there aren't enough vehicles in play to justify this many assault players, so maybe we could, some of us switch to medic or support. You will only survive in Battlefield 5 if you're playing aggressively and trying to play the objectives. You will only survive by the grace of the people around you. This will kill the game if it's not toned down a bit. If it wants to accentuate teamwork, that's fine. It needs to do it in a less aggressive manner. Again, Battlefield has no business taking itself this fucking seriously. It's not Squad, it's not Arma. That being said, Battlefield 5 is extremely fun to me. The reason I'm making this rant, the reason I'm being dramatic, is because frankly I'm a little worried. DICE's track record is a little bit fucky right now. Battlefront 1, Battlefield 1, and Battlefront 2. None of these games, in my opinion, listened to their communities. None of these games, in my opinion, got the post-launch content and updates they needed at the right times. Some of the things from those games' betas and alphas are still in the games today that everyone was complaining about. So with Battlefield 5 being about 3 months out, I'm not entirely convinced they can pull this off, but I am hopeful because the game is really fun and I really love it. But now that I have all of my problems laid out on the table and my fundamental issue with the design of the game, and in case you missed it, I'll summarize it here. The game wants you to rely on so many different mechanics that require other people's participation. This is going to cut my playtime in half because I might only play this game when my friends are online, which is a bitter pill to swallow when I'm dropping $60. At least with Black Ops 4's beta, whether my friends were online or not, I was able to just sit there and grind it out, and it was fun to do so, like Call of Duty generally is. I'm not comparing Black Ops 4 to Battlefield 5 directly because they're very different types of games, but the point I'm trying to make is that they're both going to be competing for my playtime, and one of them looks like it's going to rely on my friends being home and online and available. So Battlefield 5, please strike a balance like you did back in Battlefield 3 and 4, and we will be dandy, we'll get along fine. You have such a great game, and I really wish you guys luck if you're watching this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you when I see you. Goodbye.